fast forwarding come our channel so Haxi AG Politics Avenue. Onia podcast stories are trending because making headlines. Ne Jemre na EDB exomo ewa ni dim ya hombrak simus ene ED kanyam so be subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell so share na afia foforo so ensa entumi enkabe. Ni dim ya hombrak simu onia mesra ko say yenkuyin simu. Yakuyin simu XML deal no omani GRA exsign under Addo dankwa Akuffo Addo's administration no me no ka say His Excellency Ǎnǧr1ly akan ho bi ma enya asem koto akra what terminate contract no with immediate effect. Mr. Say at this point in time yemmo enra nsem no mu ne hwe ne yeko ene de ba AG Politics Avenue.
We are live around the world on our website 3news.com. If you visit our Facebook page as well, we are streaming there, so do let your messages on the stories come in.
Let's bring you the details now. President Ǎnджr1ly has directed the immediate termination of all existing contracts between the Ghana Revenue Authority GRA and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited SML. This follows the conclusion of an investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor OSP.
The instruction from the presidency, which marks an end to one of the most contentious government contracts in recent memory, was triggered by the findings of the OSP's probe. The directive was issued as a letter from Executive Secretary to the President, Dr. Terminate, to the Minister of Finance, Dr. Akufo. The SML contract, initially signed with the Ghana Revenue Authority GRA and the Ministry of Finance, were intended to provide revenue assurance services, first in the downstream petroleum sector and later expanded to cover upstream petroleum and the mining value chain. The deal attracted fierce public scrutiny and outrage after investigative reports alleged the company had inflated claims of revenue savings and questioned the legitimacy of its expertise. The contract was also criticized for being single-sourced, and some reports suggested the long-term value could reach over $100 million annually. The controversy deepened with the OSP's intervention. The Special Prosecutor's investigations concluded with a scathing assessment disputing the justifications for the deal and its value for money. The OSP's probe also uncovered allegations that over 1.4 billion cedis had been paid to SML without adequate monitoring or evaluation. The OSP has also publicly implicated the former Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, in connection with the deal.
The OSP will charge the following persons with various corruption and corruption-related offences before the end of November 2025. 1. Kenneth Nana-Yaw Ofori-Atta, former Minister of Finance. 2. Ernest Akori, Chef de Cabinet to Kenneth Nana-Yaw Ofori-Atta as Minister of Finance. 3. Emmanuel Kofi, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 4. Amishadai Owusu-Amoah, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 5. Isaac Krenzel, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and General Manager of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. 6. Kwadwo Damwa, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and Member of Parliament for German South Constituency. As part of the process, the OSP will seek to recover the financial loss caused to the Republic from the persons listed above. Also, the OSP will recover a total amount of 125 million cedis from SML by way of a disgorgement of unjust enrichment of overpayment by the return of the benefit of this amount it obtained unfairly at the expense of the Republic.
Meanwhile, the Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited SML has denied any wrongdoing, insisting that its operations were lawful, transparent, and beneficial to the state. SML, in a statement issued on Friday, October 31, 2025, said it had fully cooperated with all lawful investigations and called for public discussions to be grounded in verified facts rather than speculation. According to the company, its services, including transaction audit, external price verification, and downstream petroleum measurement, were performed under GRA supervision, with payment made only after results were independently verified.
So now, let me read to you exactly what the letter from the President's Executive Secretary said. This is on behalf of President Mahama. It said that following the conclusion of the investigation conducted by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, into the contracts awarded to Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML, I have been directed by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, to request that we take immediate steps to terminate all existing SML-related contracts forthwith.
Let's shift our attention to other stories now, this time around to Parliament, where the Acting Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Emmanuel Akuffo, has laid a new instrument in Parliament to revoke LI 2462, which gives the President authority to grant license for mining in forest reserves. Once it matures after 21 sitting days and is approved, the Environmental Protection, which is a Mining and Forest Reserve Revocation Instrument 2025, will permanently strip the President of unilateral powers to issue mining permits in forest reserves. Speaking to journalists after presenting the instrument, Emmanuel Akuffo said that the move demonstrated government's commitment to the fight against illegal mining.
Call LI 2462, which was enacted in 2022, to ensure that environmental management principles are legally enforced in mining operations in forest reserves. It was obviously a public outcry that led to an amendment of that LI by deleting Regulation 32 to effectively limit the powers of the President to allow mining forest reserve. Obviously, that led to the new LI 2501, which was entered into force on June 2nd, 2025. However, in the light of continued public outcry, as a listening government, and after complete consultation and review with experts, it was very clear that we could completely revoke that LI and to use the guidelines that was enacted in 2020. And so that's effectively what I've done today. And it clearly must send a message that this government is committed to basically ensuring that we continue to protect our pristine forest reserve and our environment. We are keeping our word. We are showing Ghanaians we are committed to protecting the environment, to protecting the forest, to protecting our water bodies. And every step we are taking is clearly in line with what President Mahama has been preaching. I thank you very much.
Right, so this is being received quite well by a number of civil society organizations. One of them is Arocha Ghana. Daryl Bosu is Deputy National Director of Environmental NGO Arocha Ghana. He's joined us for a conversation on this LI that has been laid in Parliament. Mr. Thank you, Daryl Bosu. Thank you so much for your time. Good evening to you.
Thank you, my brother. You can actually hear the excitement in my voice. I'm very happy to speak to this matter.
Certainly so. I mean, when you heard it, that at least finally after the pressure, the public anger and all of that, government has taken steps to now lay it in Parliament, and then it tells you that some quick action has been taken. What do you make of it?
And first of all, I need to acknowledge and also commend the progressive step by the government to revoke LI 2462 in its entirety. This is definitely a positive step. As you know, when LI 2462 was passed in November 2022, it really came with a lot of dissatisfaction from civil society, several other professional bodies across the country, and also because it gave the posture of a government that was willing to auction off all of its forest reserves for mining. But to now come to a system where, look, the government says that we are no longer going to condone such an attitude, but we are going to use a more progressive way to assess whether an area must be mined or not, and looking at a 2% on average for all forest reserves in this country. I think this is a very progressive step, and we really commend the government for this. I think that, that said, I know that when this revocation takes place or takes effect, it will mean that we need to take steps now to ensure compliance, and every state agency, Forestry Commission, Minerals Commission, and all other state agencies must take this into consideration and try to align, which for me is the most important aspect to this whole process that we are going through right now.
Right, and I'm sure it would be your expectation as well that this should have bipartisan support in Parliament, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's an ally, so it's going to be a special 21 15 days time in Parliament, and after that, it takes effect, which I believe even the previous administration also initiated a process like that, just that Parliament couldn't have the opportunity to sit and really see this through. So we are really excited that this government, keeping to its word, has been able to take this step. And we are expecting the other members of Parliament to support the process so that we can have a successful revocation. Then we can take it from there. Right now, we need to look at a national strategy to protect our forest reserves, and this is where it begins. So we are really excited to see this happen eventually.
And finally, what's the issue about beyond laying it in Parliament and it's maturing, when it is actually even passed, the concern for many will be executing another law. We have several that have been flouted, but beyond laying it, what should the expectation or immediate action be after Parliament approves this?
Yes, I think with respect to that, we recall that His Excellency Ǎnǧr1ly did indicate that with the current review of Act 703, they are going to take steps to put in place certain provisions and mechanisms to completely exclude mining from our forest reserves, so that we are not just left in limbo and just be working with the airline, which people can come and set aside as and when they want. So we are also counting on the current process to review Act 703, and hopefully, as the President committed to really exclude mining from forest reserves, we are looking forward to some new provisions in the review of the Act 703 to ensure that we can, in the long term, guarantee safety for our forest reserves for the benefit of not just the present, but also future generations. So we are really looking forward to the process. I think we recently reached out to the Minerals Commission for copies of the draft discussions regarding the Act, and we are going to follow through and make sure that the President's commitment to exclude mining entirely from our forest reserve is also in alignment with what is happening now.
Mr. Bosu, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right.
Any chief caught engaged in illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, will be handcuffed. This is a stern warning from the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Akuffo, who describes acts of such culprits as terrorism and do not deserve to lead anyone. Šhǒcǩs reports.
One of the pressing needs of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat has to do with logistics. With these acquired vehicles, it will be very easier for the task force to act swiftly on intel when they pick them.
Basically, it's mainly logistics. The team is very motivated. They are up to the task. They're very efficient, and we've seen the results. In the last few months, we've seen what they've been able to do, even with very little. And so you can imagine that when the support comes in, you can imagine the work that they'll be able to do. According to the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Akuffo, this logistical support is part of government's bidding to ensure responsible mining in Ghana.
Just in the last few weeks, we've handed some vehicles to you. Today, we are giving you these 10 vehicles. I think in the next 2 weeks, you'll be seeing me coming with about 25 more. The request that you have brought, which is about 50 minimum, we get it for you. You've asked for computers, laptops, and other printers and other things. I'm happy to tell you they have all been secured.
And for traditional authorities that are allegedly engaged in illegal mining, this is a warning from the sector minister.
Respect our chiefs. But we are getting to a place where if we are caught engaged in illegal mining, we'll handcuff you with your clothes. Any chief, with all due respect, I am one that is respect chief so much, who does not believe that our survival depends on our water bodies and our environment, and will be complicit in this act of terrorism, does not deserve to be leading anybody.
Hopefully, in ensuing weeks, the Secretariat will take delivery of more logistical support to enhance the operations. Šhǒcǩs, TV3 News, Cantonment, Accra.
Let's go back to Parliament because the minority in the House is demanding clarity on the source of funds for Gold Board's operations. The caucus says although the government previously announced an allocation of $279 million to kickstart the board's activities, a right to information request reveals that the Ministry of Finance has not made any financial releases to the board since its establishment. This, the minority says, raises serious questions about how the institution is currently being financed. Addressing journalists in Parliament earlier today, the chairperson of the Subsidiary Legislative Committee, Patrick Boama, called on the government for full disclosure.
So finally, I got a letter from the Ministry of Finance, dated the 29th of October. 29th of October is just 2 days ago. And the letter was signed by the Chief Director of the Ministry. And the Ministry said in simple terms, I'll give you copies, I'll forward it to you, that the Ministry has not received, has not transferred or made any allocation to the Gold Board. So now question now is, how is the Gold Board being funded? That is very, very important. Is it from the central bank? Is the Bank of Ghana printing money to fund the Gold Board? Why must the Bank of Ghana be doing that? Those are questions that I'll leave to you as journalists to unravel.
The group is also calling for detailed publications of the board's activities on its official website as required by law to facilitate transparency and ensure traceability regarding the source of its gold.
You go to the Gold Board's website right now, you will not find anything as contained in the Act. The Gold Board came into being in April. And if April, May, June, July, August, we've gone way past a quarter, so that all this information ought to be there. We hear of Gold Board appointing brand ambassadors, delivering or supplying pickups to institutions and what have you. But what the law requires them to do under Section 42 hasn't been complied with. And it is very, very dangerous, especially where the World Bank, the European Union, and other institutions are talking about where Ghana is headed to, especially in the fight against galamsey. Especially also in the Gold Board's own act, which talks about sourcing and traceability. Where is the Gold Board getting all those gold from? Is it from responsible mining? Is it from small-scale miners? Or is it from galamsey sites?
We're saying in Parliament because Ghana's Parliament has entered into a strategic 2-year partnership with Inter-Parliamentary Union to spearhead efforts to reduce methane emissions and mitigate the impact of climate change. At the launch of the project, Speaker Alban Bagbin emphasized the urgency of decisive action and called for adequate budget allocations to back the national climate agenda.
Africa is responsible for only a fraction of global greenhouse gas emissions. However, the continent suffers disproportionately from climate change. The effect of climate change on the society and livelihoods is no more distant but a harsh reality. The Africa Center for Energy Policy estimates that methane emissions in Ghana have increased by about 200% between 1990 and 2022, mainly from the energy and waste sectors. The Parliament of Ghana has entered into a strategic 2-year partnership with the Inter-Parliamentary Union to champion efforts to reduce methane emissions. Right Honourable Alban Bagbin is the Speaker of Parliament.
Experts tell us that methane is over 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide in warming the atmosphere over a 20-year period. So tackling methane emissions therefore offers one of the fastest and most effective pathways to slow the pace of global warming.
He said there must be a financial commitment to this cause.
I'm taking this opportunity to call on the Budget Committee and all other committees to ensure that adequate financial resources are allocated for our functions, particularly what we've undertaken for methane reduction initiatives and green innovation. So please don't just take what is brought to you as budget and you go and just say, yeah. Then after that, you are writing memos to Speaker to approve for you to attend those conferences. It's a commitment that we are making.
Representative of the Interparliamentary Union called for more collaborative efforts.
At the Interparliamentary Union Assembly in Geneva last week, the clerk to Parliament, Honorable Ebenezer, and myself formally signed this cooperation framework. That signing confirmed our shared commitment to taking this collaboration forward. At the IPU, we believe that no climate or methane strategy can succeed without Parliament.
The energy sector, which includes oil and gas operations, contributes about 36% of total methane output, while agriculture and waste.
We ayan samahoro team koso channel no so mamna sa ujemre o hare sane so badi no edi adumbi edumbi ni ebesen shiem na yasume kwanson kusukura.